Okay, so you're saying you're going to do contracts, and then practice of real estate.
Right, and because those are part of the big three. Maintain agency, so meaning I would just do maybe
Right.
2 minutes a day of that. Because
Mhm.
those
And then
contract,
property ownership.
yes, because that has 7 questions. That's
Right.
a lot of questions.
Okay. So now that, so your 3, just to review again, is contracts, practice of real estate, property ownership. Those are your top 3, correct?
And the 4th one would be, as you mentioned, property.
Financing.
No, property disclosures.
Okay,
You see why? You see that percentage? That's 5 questions.
right, you got wrong. Yeah, property disclosures.
only got
Yep,
one
I
of
wrote
them.
that down. Yep.
Mhm.
So property disclosures is number 4, and then number 5 is financing.
Yeah, let me see. Let me see if it's something else that I got 50 in.
Yeah, financing, you got 50%. 3
Right,
out of 6.
right. I mean, I guess that would give me, if we try to do 3 more on practice of real estate, I'm just thinking of how many more to try to get for each of those to get to that threat.
Okay. So the next step is when you look at the property, when you look at the PSI worksheet, what parts of contract, so the next step we usually do is, if you look at that sheet,
I gotta find it. Are you pulling it up?
yeah, I have it on the screen.
Good. Certain things that I know I need help with that come off the top of my head, like Graham, GRM. I didn't understand meets and bounds. I even have a few questions. I just couldn't figure that stuff out. Like even if they give me the answer, I just don't understand it. That's why I would probably need that one-on-one when we talk.
Mhm.
And I don't have a way to relate it.
Right, okay. So in contracts, you're comfortable knowing the difference between void and voidable?
Yes.
Okay, what's the difference?
A void doesn't have all of the 4 essentials of a contract.
Okay.
That's just me taking more
And what are your 4?
off the top of my head. I know the one, I don't know them all the way off the top of my head, but I know is one is meeting of the mind, consent, consideration. I would just write it down so I could just outside this call make sure I know the 4 essentials, so I understand that.
Okay. On my side, we usually have 5. We have meeting of the minds, which is often acceptance and delivery, because the other side needs to know that it was accepted. And then we have consideration. And then we have consent, which is sound mind. And then we have competency, which is age. And then it's legal.
And what's the legal part? What does that mean?
That you can legally sell it. So if she calls and she's not on the deed, she shouldn't be on the listing agreement.
Who's she? You said
So
she?
if somebody calls, and so sometimes it's the woman who calls you, the person to list the house, right? The woman calls you, tells you they want to sell the house. You get her name and you get his name. You assume that she also owns the property. And so you put the listing agreement with both of their names. That's not that's a void contract because she does not own the house. If you go to the deed and you don't find her name, then that's a void contract because she cannot legally be selling that house because she doesn't own it.
Right.
That's the application of it. So the 5 are, so a valid contract is often acceptance and delivery, consideration, And consideration, remember, it doesn't have to be money. Yes, you've been practicing where the person uses money, but it could be love and affection or anything that is of value. It's
Yes.
legal, competent parties, and then consent. So what makes a contract void?
Void.
Like voidable, voidable.
Voidable would be where the other party, for examples, because this is probably how they would apply it on the exam,
Mhm.
when they were a minor, and if they were a minor or somebody under duress.
Right, okay, so add on more, minor, under duress, under the influence of drugs or alcohol, mental illness. So you might see the mental illness one and misrepresentation.
Right, if I see any of those words.
Correct, any of the five.
Okay.
Then let's go to explain the unilateral and bilateral.
Got it. So options are unilateral, unilateral,
Mhm.
and optionor would be the person, just like a mortgage, or they would make the option,
Make the, oh, uh-huh.
and the optionee is the person who owns the property, right?
No, optionee is the person receiving the option. So that's the tenant who's being given rent with the option to buy.
Ooh, okay. So it's
Yeah.
the opposite of of a mortgage and a mortgagee.
Yeah, with a mortgage, mortgagor is you, you're the borrower, you're the one that created the mortgage. So we'll go through financing as well. So a mortgage, in a mortgage, mortgagor is the borrower. The
That's right.
person who created the mortgage, the borrower. The bank is receiving the note and the security document, whether it's a mortgage or a deed of trust. So we'll review that again. So a bilateral is where you might see words, a promise for a promise. There's an exchange of promises. This
Yes.
is what you have when you're the listing agent with the seller. This is what you have with the buyer when you have a buyer agency agreement. This is what the seller and the buyer have. And then unilateral is rent with the option to buy, or if you see anything to do with a bonus.
Okay.
That's unilateral.
All right.
Let's see. So let me just quickly see what usually else. What is statutes of frauds? What does that cover?
Yeah, that means that that particular contract has to be in writing, because all contracts don't have to be in writing. But if it has a statute of fraud, writing. So if I see that on the exam, writing, statute of fraud.
Good, good. So just tying the two, just to tie the bow up well. So you have express contract, which is anything that's spoken, whether it's in writing or in words, and then implied is actions.
Yes.
Okay. And then what's the definition of an executory contract?
All of the elements, but it hasn't been completed. And
Okay, good.
executed would be the one that's completed. It's done.
Good. So executory is what we have when it's pending. Once we say it's pending, executory, executed is what we have at settlement. Okay, good. Oh yeah, when you have owner financing, talk to me about owner financing.
That's when I see land contract or something like that, that's what that is usually. And they can't get the title until all the payments are made.
Okay, and the seller is referred to as what?
As the owner, the financer, they're the ones financing it.
Okay, so the owner is referred to as a vendor.
Vendor, yes.
Yeah,
Vendor.
yeah, vendor. So installment contract or land contract, owner financing, seller is referred to as a vendor. I guess that's how you say it. I say vendor. And then the buyer is referred to as a vendee. And just echoing what you just mentioned, the buyer doesn't get the legal title until they have fully paid it in full.
Okay.
let's jump into other types of contracts, leases. So when
Right.
you're talking about leases, technically there are 4, but this image has 3. So review what is your understanding of a estate for years type of a lease.
Right. And the only reason I know this is because I listened to your video. Don't tell me I'm ready to take this test tomorrow. I just have pieces of what I've learned from you. Estate is, it has a specific date and time, August 19th to August 24th. I get to stay in this resort or a hotel.
Good, good, good. And then estate at will.
Estate at will means that if somebody dies, then that goes, it stops. And so that can stop at any time. And estate for sufferance, I'll get back to that. But there was another one called it's periodic.
Correct.
Periodic estate. In the periodic estate, that's when it's like a subscription. Like a subscription is ongoing, and you would have to specify when to cancel that.
Good, good, good. Oh, that's so nice. I'm hearing my own words. Thank you. Yes. So periodic tenancy. Yes, yes.
You broke, see, so what I'm trying to learn from you is even when you said the 4 elements, whatever way you saw it, wrote it, then that's how I'm gonna remember it. Because I can go into the exam and write this down on the side.
Okay.
Because different people teach it different ways, like code AC and all of that. But whatever way you do it, I'm gonna do it that way because it's so simple for me. You're very smooth in the way you teach, your teaching approach. So so I know I sound like you in an estate for sufferance. The contract has ended or the lease is ended, but that person is still staying in a deadbeat tenant. And as you said, that's the easiest one.
Correct, correct. So, and then we have these payments, gross lease, net lease, and percentage lease. You're comfortable with those, right?
I have to listen to yours again, but go through it with me because it's repetition. I just learned this. Remember, I just discovered you last week.
Got it. Okay. So gross is everything is included. Think of gross income. If you've ever been employed, think of gross income. Everything is included, right?
After expenses and all of that, right?
Right. Net lease is on the commercial side. This is rent plus coverage. So coverage, so rent plus maintenance. Sorry, let me use a better word. Rent plus maintenance. So think of where your Keller Williams office is located. They're probably on a net lease where they pay rent, and then there's extra money to cover snow removal, grass being cut and making it pretty outside and all that. That's a net lease.
I get it. It's easy to understand. Let's say you had a flat fee for a gross lease, but once you have a flat fee, let's say $1,500 a month, but all utilities are included. So that's a gross lease, correct?
Yeah, gross, everything is included. Net is rent plus maintenance, and then percentage lease, just from the word, you pay a flat fee plus a percentage of what you make.
Give me an example of that.
At the mall, all those stores, kiosks,
a barber shop where you give back, you have your booth space, but then you got to mall.
Yeah.
Once I give an example, it makes me, I can understand, then it doesn't seem like.
Yeah. So contracts, you're strong on that. Probably is the note taken as you read in the question. So far, those are the ones, because contracts is the one that's going to give you, the stories. Asking you, what is this and what happened? Yeah. Let's see. Contracts. Okay. Practice of real estate is the one that you got. Hold on, let me play this. Practice of
since I took this test a month ago, but it's just that it's just so much information to keep maintaining that I get rusty and
It is. When are you your best during the day? What time frame are you your best during the day? Are you good in the morning, evening, afternoon? Does it matter?
in between 9 and 12. But if, when I set up to take the test, I was going to take it at 12:30.
I would do it between 9 and 12 when you're your best, because as you saw, this is not one of those where you go in there, you're tired, you really have to use your brain. You really have to use your brain on this test.
And I put 12:30 because they'll let me come in earlier, but it's just that to make it so I can start at 12 or I can start at because sometimes I don't have the 11:30. So that's why I did that. It gives me more wiggle room, not rush, get myself in order and then drive. No.
Okay, how long is the drive for you?
This one is about 20 minutes. It's not bad.
Okay, and there's no earlier time? Or
When
you,
it's it could be 11:30, but they usually stack them 11:30, 12:30.
okay,
But 12:30 is better. 2 is definitely too late.
yeah, okay. So next one is practice of real estate. Do you see that?
I do.
Okay. So with practice of real estate is where they have stuff that you don't use every day. So they talk about when you see trust and escrow, you know who's holding that, right? It's either the broker. In practice, it could be the title company, but on the test, it's usually going to be the broker. So I believe this is where we had the discussion of the person put in a deposit of X amount. They now need some of that money to go towards the down payment. And the question was, can the broker do that? The answer would be no, because that money is specific for putting it as a good faith. If things don't work out, the seller will be looking for the entire amount. Unless the seller says they're okay with that, the broker cannot mingle the money.
Okay.
That question.
Right. So I remember you told me, because I think they had said if both parties, the buyer and the seller, agree that they could do it. So
That's the only way, yeah. And so if there's no answer talking about that, the answer would be no, the broker cannot do that. The only way the broker can do that is if they get written authorization from both sides.
I don't know if it said written. I just think it said if they agree. So
They agree.
so is that the right answer?
I don't think it had the note that if they agree. I think the question from me, what I recall was, can the broker do it? And then there were 2 that said yes and 2 that said no. And then you have to read through it. I picked the one that said no, the broker cannot do it.
So you remember because they specifically said a number. They said 5,000.
5,000.
2,000 back.
Right. Yeah, the broker cannot do it because that will end up being commingling, which they cannot do. It's specific for deposit, not specific for down payment.
Are you sure you didn't see it say one said yes as long as the parties agree? Because I specifically remember that piece. And
okay, if it does for you when you go back, then that's what you will pick.
You're saying pick that then.
You have to read it carefully. If there's one that says no, the broker cannot, then that's a better choice than if they agree.
Well, then I probably have picked the one you say if they agree, because I don't think it said if they agree in writing. It just said if they agree.
Yeah. I would go with the broker cannot, because now we're talking of commingling right there.
When you're talking about earnest EMDs, and that's one way we can get in trouble as brokers is the EMD. You can really justify that, right? You're right. Okay.
Now, this practice of real estate gets into fair housing. So fair housing, you take the CE class. So we'll be reviewing that quickly. And then practice of real estate gets into advertising and also includes confidentiality. So questions on confidentiality would be that just borrowing from agency would be what? That we keep everything confidential.
Yes.
till we die, or that information becomes public,
Or
or
written
we
consent from them that they say that that you can disclose the information. I think that was,
briefly tell me about do not call list. We real estate agents are telemarketers because we're trying to solicit for business. So we need to follow the solicitation rules. So what is it on telemarketing and phone calls?
I think it's 18 months. That's all I really know. Something about
Yes.
within,
So,
within,
uh-huh.
you tell me. I mean, I just know 18 months. So break
Yeah.
it.
18 months is from settlement. So if you have a buyer, seller, landlord, or tenant, and you did a transaction, you got to settlement, and they are on the do not call list, you're able to connect with them for 18 months. Prior, go ahead.
After, so let's say it's a settlement or if they're on a do not call, I don't understand that. So I'm missing that.
After the transaction is over,
So we can't talk to them for 18 months.
can for 18 months. You're okay to talk to them.
Me,
Yes.
even if it weren't my transaction?
No, it is your transaction.
Got it.
Yeah, your buyer, your seller, your landlord, your tenant. You got to close in, or they got the lease signed. You have 18 months to continue connecting with them.
If they're on the do not call list.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. My own. If they are on the do not call list, I can't touch them at all if they weren't my client.
Correct. Correct.
What about a person who has I think it was a question about a person who had somebody. It's the same thing. I can't contact them. Okay. It was somebody else, like their listing expired. The listing expired and they were saying, could I call them? Am I allowed to call an expired listing?
The only way you're able to, so let me come back to that. Let me finish the do not call list. Let me add another one. If you have a prospect and the person is on the do not call list, but they call you, since they're the ones who initiated the conversation, you have 3 months to connect with them as well and see whether you're able to what I'm looking for? Convert them from being a prospect to a client. So
Right.
prior 3 months, after transaction, they're your client, 18 months. So remember the 3 months.
Prospect. All right.
Mm-hmm. Now the question of a seller contacts you, they have if it has expired, you're able to connect with them because the listing agreement has expired. However, I think there was a question about the agreement hasn't expired yet. And now the friend or somebody, or maybe I'm dreaming this question, and the friend is telling you, connect with this particular person. They are looking for an agent. They're not happy. Can you? The answer would be no. The only way you're able to engage with someone is if it has expired. If it is during the transaction, it's not us initiating it, it should come from them. So for example, if I had a listing agreement with you and I'm not happy, I go tell my coworker then refers me to an agent that they know, let's call her Susan, and says, hey, why don't you call Susan? And the coworker calls Susan and tells Susan, my friend Brenda is not happy with Jabril. You need to connect with her. Susan cannot call me. The only way I'm able to connect with that seller and have a conversation is if they initiate it. If they initiate it, I'm able to respond with honesty and fairness and reasonable care. But I'm not able to start anything until the agreement has expired. Does that help?
Expired or if they terminate the agreement. Either way.
Correct. But if they initiate it, we're good. It's not the agent calling them back.
It's the same one with the initiation with the do not call list. Okay.
Correct. So when we're talking about, oh yeah, these are the others. So you have licensee and responsibilities. Are you comfortable knowing the difference between an employee and an independent contractor?
I am, but can you go back real quick? I know there's 2 questions I remember on the exam.
Okay.
We go back
One
to the,
second.
all right, truth in advertising. There's something about, it said, the guy said you can't have, I don't know if they said elderly or blacks. I can't remember it, but I guess I got it on the rules. And it said they wanted to sue me as the broker for discrimination. And I don't know if it was a trick question. They were trying to say that that they couldn't sue me, but I don't know if I picked that. I think I got afraid and said I will get sued or I will go to jail or something like that.
In advertising and fair housing?
I think it was something that it said something. Yeah. But I have to look at it. I think as I get more skills and dig deeper into practice of real estate, a question will come up similar.
Okay. We'll go on and see. Let's see. The supervisionary responsibilities here, the blanket statement is everything filters through you, including the unlicensed personnel. So if you have, for example, a virtual assistant, then still whatever they're doing, we need to make sure that they're still following the rules in terms of real estate.
Yes.
And then antitrust laws. So that's to prevent to prevent monopoly. So let's go through each one. So with fair housing, this will be quick. The 7 protected categories, what are they?
All right, it's old corn. So I would write it down just like that. So then the O is okay. L. O is wow. I'm forgetting it that fast, but I have it written down. O is origin. L is drawing a blank right now. Just tired. I've been studying all day, but I know that it's old corn.
Is it old corn or fresh corn?
Sorry. See, that's what I'm saying. Old cars.
No, I've heard fresh corn. I was looking for a new one. So yeah, I think fresh corn, which ends up being familiar status. And
religion.
Fresh. S is sex.
Okay. Let me try to get some on. And then fresh is fresh is what is it?
So if we write it out, I've heard so many ways that
I just have to write it out. That's what I'm saying. I just got to spend more time studying. But once I do that and just start studying it over and over, but I know that it's the H I can't think of right now, but then the C would be
color.
Okay. The O is just omissions. So it's just part of the R is race and the N is nationality. So familiar status, religion, sex is 3. What is the H?
Handicap or disability.
Handicap. 5 color, 6 race, 7 nationality. All right, so those are it. So that's something I would do as soon as I got in, I would write old corn. I mean fresh corn.
So familiar status, I guess if you look at it, yeah, familiar. So familiar status is the F, the R, E is religion, the S is sex, The H is handicap or disability. C is color with the O. And then you have race and then national origin.
Yes.
Good, good, good. I use a different one that a student came up with. She came up with, all of us have biases that come whenever we meet someone, and stereotypes and ignorance. So fair housing is, we are forced not to discriminate. So her point of view is we are forced not to discriminate. So R is race, F is familial status, O is origin, religion, color. The E is for with the sex, and then we have disability. They're all different ways, but for me, that's how I remember. We are forced not to discriminate. Fresh corn is also gonna work.
Okay. So I'll just learn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay.
Remember now the years. This is the only one that we pay attention to the years. 1866 is race. 1866 is race. That's the first one. And then we have, And then we have, 1866 is race. And then we have those two cases, even though I didn't see questions on these, but you never know what type you'll get. Then there were 3 cases to do with race. You had the Placey versus Ferguson, which brought in segregation in 1896. And then we have Jones versus, Board of Education, which overturned segregation. And that one, hopefully you can remember some movies about that. And then we have Jones versus Mayer, which brought about, when it comes to race, there are no exceptions.
Let's go back to the other one, the Brown versus, is 1954?
64. Oh, 54, I'm sorry, 54, you're right, 54, yes.
And Jones is Mayer, that's another one they talk about, 68.
Yes.
All right.
And then 68 is the same year that Martin Luther passed away. And then we have the federal protected categories that were introduced. It ended up being the 4. So 1968, and here sometimes they will call it Title 8 instead of the 1968. Here, just remember 68, Title 8 has the 4. 68, Title 8 has the 4. And the 4 are race, color, religion, national origin, and color. So pretty much looking at someone, you can guesstimate their race, you can guesstimate obviously their skin color, you can guesstimate their national origin by their features, and then religion based on how they dress. 68, Title 8, the 4, race, color, national origin, religion. And 68 is the one that brought about the poster, the Equal Housing Opportunity poster.
Okay.
74 is women's movement, Women's March, women movement is happening in the 70s. So 74 is when we have no discrimination based on sex.
All right. If I didn't see any of that.
Yeah. And then we have 88, familial status and disability.
Okay.
When it comes to familial status, they are developments that are able to discriminate based on familial status. If what? There are 2 categories. The exemptions in terms of buildings.
Age, like 55 and Mm,
55 and older. And what's the other one? It's either one of the two, 55 and older, or
but-
so the other one is everyone is over 62, or everyone, I'm sorry, in 80% of the occupied units, there's someone who's over 55. Here, probably what I'm gonna remind you is that it has to do with who lives there, nothing to do with who owns it. So if you get a question that Jabril owns this particular development, it has to do with who lives there, not who owns it.
Right, we talked about that in your class the other day. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're right. Following you on Facebook and class. It's just
Good.
builds momentum. It builds momentum, and
Yes.
you don't make it feel overwhelming because you break it into pieces.
And then remember, when it comes to disability, the landlord cannot stop the tenant from making changes.
Right. It just has to be at their own expense.
Correct.
And I think that with the practice of real estate, or it was something, I think it was practice of real estate, that let's say that they needed to provide one or two handicapped parking spots if they're a place that's close to them. Because I know in a question, that's what you have to do. You have, instead of saying they just get a permit to be wherever, they have to make that accommodation when it came to the parking.
Say that again. So let me understand this. So to make accommodations.
It was on two parts. I have it on two different learning tools where they were saying that the landlord, before that tenant moved in, they were disabled. And they said, well, what kind of permit can they have? Or do you have to do a combination? One said they can't do it because they didn't make a security deposit. Another said they can just give them a permit and they just have to do it first come, first serve. And another said that they have to at least give them a permit that's close to their home, close to their unit.
Okay. So that one is the better one. Yeah. Okay.
I explained it better? Right. I just knew the bottom line answer is that you have to do that if they're disabled. If it's term disabled, you just can't give them a generic sticker. And in the way I remember it, Brenda, is let's say we go to Walmart or any store in the mall. They have permits for women who are pregnant. Then they have parking spots just for people who are handicapped. And now they even have it where 15-minute parking for people who are just coming in and out to do the shop cart for you. The people who just, they have there right there.
Correct. However, what I will add on is that is on the commercial side. On the residential side, the wording is always going to be reasonable. So if the building doesn't really offer us, if somebody, now remember again, when it comes to disabilities, the person might not get the unit that is closest to the parking side, right? They might get on the other side. Here, the wording is reasonable. When it comes to the residential side, it's all about being reasonable.
Right.
Commercial side, they have to. On the residential side, it's different in terms of reasonable and costs.
Okay.
Let's review these definitions: blockbusting, steering, and redlining.
I got those. We don't even have to review them, dude. I'm gonna tell you what's hard. Government surveys, Jim and Grimm, understanding that kind of stuff. I mean, this is so easy to me.
Okay, how about these antitrust laws?
The price system with the Clayton Act and the Sherman Act, boycott, tie-in agreements. You can't agree to, you have territory or first rights. Like you can't not commingle, but work with another brokerage and say, I'm gonna do the west side, you do the east side.
Right.
You can pick a certain commission.
Okay. Good. And then tie-in agreements just is talking about you can't say that the only way I'm going to work with you is if you use my lender.
Correct. Correct. Or my title company.
Good, good, good. So that is practice of real estate. And then finishing off, we talked about the do not call list. And then when you're advertising blanket statement, each state is going to have its own rules. But blanket statement is we always include the information of the broker.
Right. Not the salesperson.
Correct. Correct. Okay. So now you know about independent contractor versus employee, right?
All right. We got to pay our own taxes, so they don't do that. We're 1099.
Mhm.
And what's really required is that they have to supervise us, but we don't have to have any set hours. And if we start having set hours, then we become more of an employee.
Okay, good, good, good. We are done with practice of real estate. Okay, so what's your request now? Because you have property ownership is, so now here's my strategy for you. Your book, does it, I'm sure it does. I have a portion of it. I don't have it physically, but I'm sure it does. Have you gone through the practice exams that they offer at the back of the book?
Not yet, and I still probably need to do a couple of sections. And before I go straight to the practice, maybe one day of just going through the sections 1 or 2 days, just to maximize it, and then go through the test. I'm thinking that.
Yes,
Because then
that's
there'll
what.
be information to learn. If I already know I don't know it, why spend that hour?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna suggest in terms of breaking it down. Please remind me, when is your scheduled date?
Mhm. I was told by one of your other students that you told them to never tell, but I want to take it sometime next. And I'm not being smart because I'm not going to put on this call to insult you.
That's okay. You're gonna do it when?
I'm going for it next week.
Next week. Okay, okay, okay.
I'm trying to come with you with a 7 to 10 day strategy, but it's not too cramming and
Got it. Okay. So do you have a piece of paper? So I'm gonna pull up a calendar. So I guess we can pull up a calendar. So you said your best 9 to 12. So are you blocking out your calendar saying you're not going to do any showings? People are gonna do showings for you, that your real estate business is only after 12?
it's blocked out. I don't have anything around me. It's just me. Maybe I have too much time at this point.
No. Let's use it, but not really do too much. So if you are looking at 7 to 10 days, so tomorrow is the 24th, 25, 26, 27. Okay, so what, do you have any commitments during the weekend?
I could. I may. I'm not sure. I mean, but right now, I'm
Would it
still
be Saturday or Sunday?
I'm still work on the weekend regardless. I have to. The
You
sooner I
have
get,
to work on the weekend.
I mean, I'm still committed to studying. No, I'm not.
Ah,
I'm. That's what I'm saying.
okay.
That's.
But we need a break. So if you were to have a break, what day would you allow yourself to have a break? Saturday or Sunday?
Oh wow, that's so tough. I would rather do a half a day or do something smaller.
Okay.
Still to do those 2 days. I mean, it's just right.
So on the 20, so 2 hours, correct?
Sure. Okay. Can you tell me
9
not to do one?
and 12. Okay. Between 9 and 12, 2 hours. Let's play with 2 hours. So tomorrow,
We could do 10, 12, or 9 to 11. I see what you're saying.
yeah, so from 9 to 11, you're going to your book and refreshing yourself on contracts. So tomorrow, let's plant contracts. And you pick, do you want to review your book, the outline, and read it? And then go online, check out videos on contracts, and then go do practice questions. Within that 2 hours, you pick what it is that you're going to do.
All right.
But first you feed yourself the information and then you see how you did.
Got it.
Okay. 25th, we're going to do practice. Same style. Feed yourself the information, whether you're reading or looking at your notes, and then listening to videos or podcasts, and then questions in that order.
And that's 12, and that can be done in 2 hours?
Yep.
Okay. I have a meeting tomorrow. This was already pre-planned from 11.
That's
But
24th.
Hmm?
That's 24th, right? Tomorrow. Okay. So on your way there, are you driving?
It's Zoom. It's just from 11 to 12.
Okay. Okay. So from 9 to 11, you should have accomplished something, right?
Okay, if I do it like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Practice of real estate is on Wednesday.
Okay, Wednesday, the 25th. Mm-hmm.
Yep. 26, we're doing property disclosure. 27, you're going to do the questions at the back of your book because you'll have hit the 3.
The three main ones?
Yes.
When you say back of my book, you're talking about the back of this mastering book?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Just do practice exam 1. And what you're doing is what I've been sharing. Write your answers on a piece of paper, time yourself 90 minutes, and just see how you do in 90 minutes and grade yourself. So that's why 2 hours, you'll be done in 90 minutes. And then the 30 minutes is to grade yourself and review the questions that you got wrong.
Wow. Well, even if I review them, I won't have that much time to review them. It'll just.
Hold on, April. You're saying next week. So yeah. So then from there, the 28th is where you're finishing to review that practice exam. And if you did not finish going through questions on contracts, practice, and disclosure, so 28th is a heavy one of just questions.
The 20th is Saturday, right?
Yes.
Now, mind you, I can change the date. So I don't want to get overwhelmed and rush. That's a whole different process.
Yeah. So that's why we're breaking it down. But then you need to review what you did on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's why you're having Friday and Saturday is to practice on the questions. First with the practice exam 1, and then Saturday is to finish off if you didn't finish the review and any questions that you can find on contracts, practice of real estate, and disclosure.
Right.
So Saturday, heavy on just questions. Saturday, you're not ingesting the content. Saturday, you're trying to apply it.
Okay. You think right after this call, I can call you right back and tell you what I was going to take offline, and then we can see if we can get another package, a follow-up package? I really feel strong with you because I was away from my broker's class. So like I said, I'm prepared to make an offer or whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
Option.
Right. Okay, so 29th. You will, however, it might be after 5 because I have 2 other sessions after you got.
That is fine. Look, I'm working with you. And you know I'm hungry. You know I'm
Yes. Sunday, you say it is a half day, right? Because that's Sunday, and I guess so with half day.
let my brain relax. You're right. Maybe I could do that because it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, so half day Sunday, you are doing, which one did we not do?
We didn't do,
No, we did disclosure. Financing. No, financing needs a day by itself.
see, we really need to do property ownership instead of property disclosure, because that's one that I had. Property ownership is 7.
I have those for the 30th and the 31st.
Which one? Property ownership?
Financing on the 30th, property ownership on the 31st. So Sunday is half day, and we are looking at, let's see, which one was the top? We had contracts already on the 24th. Practice. Oh yeah, there's that, at the back of the book, you have 2 sample exams.
You know what book I have? I don't have the traditional salesperson book. I have the mastering.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, at the back of it, there should be 2 sample exams.
Really? It says diagnostics or something like that? Which one is it?
Yeah, let me, yes.
Are you familiar with this book too? Which I probably won't get.
Mastering,
PSI, this.
Which one? Hold on, let me look again. No, I haven't seen that. What is that one? PSI, that's the 8th edition?
Yes, a lot of professors are doing this one. They're starting. It's you may incorporate it sometimes, because even when you get it wrong, it tells you the page
to go to and see it. Okay, good. Mastering, I believe I'm opening up the version that I have. You do have final exams on it. Yeah, you do. There are 2 of them.
7th edition, right? You have the 7th edition?
Yes. I have a, what is it called? I was to teach for a school and they send me a copy of it, PDF copy of it. So it is after unit, you have up to what, 17? Yep, it's after that. So if you flip all the way towards the end, you will find it.
Good. Part 4, Part 5, specialty topics.
After that, yes.
After what page are you saying?
After 320, mine is not laid out as good as I would like.
I have specialty topics, unit 24, property management, unit 25, unit 26.
And after that, what do you have?
This is part 8. So.
And nothing after that? The book is over?
No, it's not over. I mean, I'll look. I'll find it.
Yeah, I'm sure there's one. So there's that. So I'll summarize in a couple minutes. So I have tomorrow's contracts. 25th is practice of real estate. 26th is disclosure. 27, you're doing the practice exam.
It's Friday.
28, Saturday, you're reviewing what you did not finish on the practice exam, and any questions you can find on the 3 topics that you will have reviewed between tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. So only questions on contracts, practice, and disclosure on Saturday. That's what you're doing. Sunday is a half day, so you're gonna work on practice exam 2, just doing it and grading yourself. Monday, you flip to financing. Tuesday, you do property ownership. And depending on the day that you pick to take the exam, the remainder of the days are just questions, reviewing as many questions as you can. So we are heavy on reviewing the content tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then following week, Monday and Tuesday. The rest of the days are questions.
Okay,